The following program, Chefs About Town, is made possible by funding provided in part by Domaine de Cheberton. Your winery in Langley, Fraser Valley awaits your visit to sample their quality wines. And the whole kitchen caboodle, from gadgets to gourmet. The whole kitchen caboodle at City Square has what you need. And Souk Harbor House, a restaurant inn by the sea on Vancouver Island. Purveyors of regional Canadian cuisine are proud to be sponsors of British Columbia's Food and Wine Arts program, Chefs About Town.
Hello, my name is Gary Faessler. Welcome once again to Chefs About Town, the show for people who really love good food. This is British Columbia's regional cookery program. It's a forum for the best chefs, foods, and wines of British Columbia. On Chefs About Town, I have some of the best chefs as my guests come into my kitchen, and together we celebrate these foods and wines in innovative, simple, and creative ways. But these chefs, you know, they're not just great technicians and mechanics. These people really have a lot of heart. They're passionate and committed and focused to the art of cooking, to the culinary arts. And I have as my guest today such a person. His name is Soren Falkstorp. He's the executive chef at Seasons Restaurant in Queen Elizabeth Park here in Vancouver. May I introduce to you Soren Falkstorp. Soren.
Nice
welcome.
To be on the show.
Oh, it's great. I'm glad you're here.
So,
today,
as you said, we have we should concentrate on British Columbia.
You bet.
Which we're going to do because we're going to prepare some oysters, and I'm going to use probably the most common oyster in British Columbia, which is the beach oyster. We're going to prepare it in a basically classic preparation like an oyster stew. Could you turn on?
You bet.
Sorry.
This fire here?
No, this fire here actually.
Okay.
So we're going to use this one.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm going to cut some leek.
I always get the wrong one.
Well, keep trying.
I think I'd know by now.
And
there we go.
That's about all we'll need for the portion that we're preparing.
So leeks and oysters. Well, this oyster stew, I've had the oyster stew before, and it is smashing. It's really excellent.
I think what is the smashing part of it is that it is so utterly simple. It's pure simplicity. And we got the.
Do you want that on high?
No, actually I won't.
That's good. Okay.
We want a little bit of butter in there.
Some clarified butter.
Clarified butter, yes. So
just very briefly, for those who don't know what clarified butter is.
Clarified butter is basically melted butter where the solids have been allowed to sink to the bottom, so you can skim off the pure butter fat.
Right.
What we're going to have together with the oysters, which I have taken the advantage of shocking in before we came on the set, because we don't want to have any sort of pierced hands or anything like that. Especially the beach oyster can be a bit of a problem.
Sometimes they're a little stubborn. Sometimes they're not that happy. They should be happy.
What would you do if somebody came with a big steel thing and kind of pried your head open?
If I knew I was going to be in your stew, I'd be a happy oyster.
That's one of the best compliments I've ever had in my life, to be honest with you. We also have some shallots, as you can see here.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put some of the shallots in first.
I love shallots. They're sweet when you cook them. They're a little garlicky.
And they're very good to sort of, if you have a little bit of a fatty thing, like the oysters that we're using, because we're using the big oysters, which go very well in a cooked dish.
Yes.
I wouldn't use the small ones. The small ones are great for just eating as they are straight out of the sea.
Yeah, you bet.
But you really want to use the big ones for a stew like this one. I think we're just going to give it a little bit more speed.
Yeah.
And we're just sauteing the shallots a little bit to start with. And it's fairly important that you do that because you want to, otherwise it'll be a little bit bitter. And there you go, now we've already got it going the way we should.
Why is that?
If you do not saute them, sauteing by meaning cooking them a little bit so that they become clear.
Transparent?
Transparent.
Right.
They will be...
don't be as sweet.
They'll be kind of bitter.
Yeah,
and unpleasant to eat.
You don't want to burn them either. Be careful not to burn your... your shallots, the garlic, because then they really will get
As with
bigger.
anything you do, you should concentrate on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the oysters, the leek here that will sweat a little bit as well, so they go soft. And also here, because it's an onion type of vegetable, you want to get a little bit of the sort of original bitterness out of it.
And you'll do that by sautéing it.
Well, that's exactly what you can do it by blanching as well, but it's not necessary for this dish. And you want to get that butter flavor into
And
it
that
as
color
well.
is coming up too.
That's exactly
They're getting
it.
really
so
green.
you get that nice little balance. As we said, it's a very simple dish, and the simplicity is that it's only this, the oysters, and cream, and no more. Which just goes again that the very good raw material should basically be allowed to stand and speak for itself.
Speak for itself, exactly.
There is no need to sort of get too much interference by adding this and that. The leeks have now reached the stage where they should be, and we'll just add in the oysters.
Now, how many
together
oysters?
with
We
some,
have about 8 oysters in the oyster
We will-
and the liquid.
Yeah, this will be depending
liquor.
on this the appetite enough for 1 or 2 persons. If you're serving it as an appetizer, I would say
This
it's
is just
enough
for me.
2. Yeah, I know, but that's
Okay.
You shouldn't say that
I'm
on
sorry.
the screen. We're gonna let them sweat a little bit. We have the cream ready here. Meanwhile, I'll bring out that wonderful dish that you brought in because to show and
I
have
thought
it.
this would really
as a
show off your
showpiece.
oyster stew. Some beautiful gold leaf glass here.
There is something royal about it. I would agree with it. It's with a golden age and what have you.
Yeah.
It's you said it's handmade glass.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it's a special piece. Yeah.
Okay, we've sweated the oysters, and now we're simply going to pour on the cream. Oh, this is.
Now, how much
good
cream? We have a couple cups there.
We would probably have about 3 large spoonfuls per oyster.
No, that's a good guideline.
A classic oyster stew is not really a stew. It's more like a soup. Now, to be served with this, you can either do it like they do on the west coast of the east coast, sorry, in the States, where they're very famous for their oyster stews,
Right.
and that is serve it with crackers. Otherwise, just some very good bread.
Really good bread, some good
Our
sourdough
baker has a
bread.
day off today, so we haven't brought any bread along. But
Did you bring any crackers?
neither did I, because since we're on the west coast, I decided we were not going to do it
Good.
with crackers.
Good.
But a good full grain bread with a nice nutty flavor to it would be just the perfect accompaniment to this dish.
Or cornbread, or any good bread.
Cornbread as well. I've actually never tried
it's
that,
good.
but that's an excellent
It is. I've tried it, yeah.
selection.
Yeah.
We now need to bring the stew up to a quick boil. You let it boil as long as it takes to say beach oyster, and then you pour it into the serving
gonna see
container,
that.
and then you just sprinkle a little bit of nutmeg or ground pepper.
Now
on it.
we're gonna grind some pepper
We have some ground pepper
because
here.
I wanted to talk
and-
about your pepper mill.
Oh, you want to talk about my pepper mill?
Yeah.
Well,
We had a fight before doing the show because you wouldn't let me use my pepper
we
mill.
did not have a fight.
which
I
is over
just
here,
insisted.
My pepper mill.
But this is my pepper mill.
I know, but this is my pepper. It's my show.
But mine is bigger than yours.
It's like, look at the size. Yeah, I'm actually not really short. You know, he's just really tall.
I'm glad you said tall and not big. I
No,
appreciate
you are.
that.
You're really tall, and he's really big. So I want to be careful what I say. So, and now you had a quick story about the pepper mill.
Well, it's one that's been following me since very early in my career when I was doing my apprenticeship with Roger Verger in his restaurant Moulin Mougin in
Somebody, your mentor, somebody that you really respect.
He's really the one who formed my whole thinking about food. Use the best raw materials and keep it damned simple.
And that's the whole philosophy in the show. Now we're gonna plate this now.
That's exactly it. It's as simple as you can have it. That's all there is to it. Could you turn the fire off for me, please?
You bet. Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to get the
yeah.
little hairs on my arm.
I don't have any hair
singed.
left on my arm from cooking on gas. I love gas heat, but with the camera lights, it's sometimes hard to see the fire.
And as you can see that by cooking them very little, you retain the plumpness and richness of the oysters. We just pour it up and you serve it up, and it should look and appear a little bit like a soup.
It's gorgeous.
It's got pure natural taste. You can't beat it. We take just a touch of nutmeg, sprinkle it on top,
Just dress the plate a bit.
and there you go.
Yeah,
Have your dinner.
It's absolutely beautiful. And you know what's missing?
Nope.
Well, some wine.
Ah,
we need some wine with the oysters too. And
When I get
happen
so
to have-
concentrated on food, I forget about wine. I shouldn't, I know that.
I don't know. For some reason, I don't forget about the wine. But I have as another guest Trudy Heiss from Gray Monk Cellars in the Okanagan, and she has come for here to present the wine. Hi, Trudy. Come over here. How are you?
I thought I'd bring
What have
you
you got here?
a special label for your show.
This is gorgeous.
I like your shirt.
Oh yes, of course. It's a Gray Monk shirt, and I don't know if you can see this at home, but it says. Why don't you read it?
Life is too short to drink bad wine.
Well, I will say
Over
that
here?
thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Life is too short to drink bad wine, and I see this is a Pinot Gris, a 1990 Pinot Gris.
We thought that would complement the chef's oyster stew very well.
And look at this.
And,
Look at this label. This is absolutely fantastic. Oh man, that's great. So listen, why don't we try this? And Trudy, girls first. Where's George, by the way? The other half.
George had to stay at home and put some bins in the vineyard because we're picking tomorrow morning.
Well, it's getting a bit chilly out, and so you wanted to make sure that you harvested the grapes before it gets too cold.
Yes.
Thank you.
The weather department was scaring us a little bit, but we are going to have a very late Ehrenfelser that we'll be picking tomorrow morning.
Oh, Ehrenfelser too. That's another one of
Yes.
my favorite wines. There's the wine, the label, and it has a beautiful blush to it, just a little pink, because that's the color of the grapes. The grapes
Yes.
are actually dusty pink and gray in color.
Because of the Pinot Noir parent, in very hot years, you'll get more of a pinky tinge to it.
Now, we also have a special treat. We have a short production. It's about 7 minutes long, and it's a year in the life of Gray Monk Winery.
Yes.
And we're gonna see that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this piece?
Well, we felt that it would be kind of nice to show people what we do all year, because most people think this is the fun part, and this is all we do is taste the wines and enjoy it with some good food. We've decided to make a short little video of what happens in our vineyards and in the winery all year round.
Well, I think I could set that up any better. Let's take a look at this short piece on Gray Monk Winery.
Latitude 50. This northern fruit belt runs from the Rhine Valley in Germany through the Champagne region of France to Canada's Okanagan Valley. From this latitude is produced some of the world's coolest white wines. And at precisely latitude 50 stands one of British Columbia's oldest and most renowned estate wineries, Gray Monk Cellars. Gray Monk continues the great tradition of European winemasters with quality and consistency in a wide range of varietal wines. Grapes grown at Gray Monk come from vines that originate in Europe and now thrive under Okanagan Valley growing conditions. Gray Monk Cellars is situated among the vines on 23 acres of land overlooking beautiful Okanagan Lake, a spot that offers all of the proper soil conditions and microclimate that is necessary to produce the finest of grape varieties and wines. Gray Monk Cellars is a family-owned and operated estate winery. Being an estate winery means they are not only winemakers, they are grape growers as well. From winter through spring, summer, and fall, they are not only working in the winery, they are also in the vineyard, cultivating many varieties of grapes to ensure the integrity and quality of the final wine. To ensure the highest quality wine, the grapes must be harvested at precisely the right time. As harvest approaches, the winemaker tests the grapes for quality, and once the grapes reach their optimum quality, harvest can begin. The grapes are hand-picked beginning near the end of September. Harvest usually lasts about 3 weeks. The grapes are transferred to bins and then transported to the crush area, where they are dumped into the hopper and mechanically destemmed and crushed. The mash is then held in a tank for a short time before pressing. The press gently squeezes juice from the grapes. The The juice is pumped to the tanks located in the cellar, where the fermentation takes place. This process takes approximately 14 days. Once fermentation is completed, the wine is racked and moved to a tank where it will age for a period of time, depending on the variety. During this time, extensive tests on wine quality are carried out by the winemaker. Back in the vineyard, the vines need tending. They are pruned and tied to prepare for the new growing season. The winemaker decides when it is time for the wine to go into the bottle. When the wine is ready, activity shifts from the vineyard to the winery's bottling room. Empty bottles are brought up from the cellar in cases with the name and the vintage of the wine stamped on it. The bottles are placed on the conveyor and inspected before filling. The wine is piped to the filler, and the filler averages about 2,000 bottles an hour. The bottles are then put through the automatic corker. The bottles pass through a heat tunnel where the heat shrinks the caps tightly onto the bottle. The next stage brings us to the labeler. Here is where the body label and neck bands are applied. The bottles are checked and then packed into cases and returned to the cellar. Out in the vineyard, the new spring leaves are coming out, and the little grape clusters are beginning to form. Throughout the spring and summer, they grow and mature under the hot Okanagan sun. Back in the winery, the long-maturing, later varieties are bottled through the late summer. Throughout the summer and all year round, the wine shop at Gray Monk is busy with visitors who have come to tour, taste, and to purchase some of the many varieties of Gray Monk Cellars wine. Along with the harvest, the crushing, and the press come the other responsibilities of an estate winery. Over the past few years, Gray Monk Cellars has become very much involved in local Okanagan wine festivals, which take place throughout the valley for 2 weeks in the month of October. Here, Gray Monk displays its many varieties and vintages and places its wines into competition with the best wines in the Okanagan. Wines are judged by expert panels of wine masters, international judges, and the consumer. Medals are awarded to the very best. This is where the hard work done throughout the year begins to pay off. And each year, Gray Monk Cellars has been among the very best in both consumer tasting and judged competitions. Each glass of wine from Gray Monk Cellars represents the long cycle of winemaking, from the care of the vines throughout the year to the exacting art of winemaking. The Heiss family invites you to come and experience winemaking firsthand and to share in the enjoyment of one of life's simple pleasures.
That was a great piece on the winery. A year in the life of Gray Monk Winery.
And
It's a lot of work.
it sure is.
Yeah.
Sure is. Nearly as tough as being a chef.
Or nearly as tough as being a food and wine television producer.
let's get to the second dish that we're doing today, which is also a shellfish. We're not staying in British Columbia this time. We're moving up to Alaska.
Oh,
I've got some very nice scallops from Glacier Bay in Alaska. We're going to prepare that with sweet pea sprouts, which is actually the top shoots from the snow pea plant, which is something I learned to use in Hong Kong when I lived there. We're going to do that with some shallots, and we're going to use one of Gray Monk's Falkstorp, a sweet dessert type white wine, and some cream, and we'll get on with it right away. So a little bit of
clarified butter.
Clarified butter, every man's answer.
This is how I like to cook.
Yeah, I can understand that. And we take some of our scallops here.
Oh, these are gorgeous.
And you just put them in like that and let them saute very gently.
Do you ever eat this raw?
I do. I make a tartare with it sometimes, put a little ginger in it and stuff like that.
Man, that would be great.
That is good stuff.
Let's do that later after the show. We'll make a little tartare. That would be...
We don't want the people to look at it to hear about the really good stuff, right?
Oh, no. No, the tartare would be great. Okay, so a little clarified butter, medium-high heat.
Just medium-high heat. This pan we're going to reserve to cook the...
pea tops?
The pea tops, and we'll just cook them very, very naturally. Again, in a little bit of clarified butter. We're maybe not being overly concerned with health here, but...
well, no, it's healthy, but we're not being overly concerned with weight and fat and
exactly.
And stuff. I mean,
true.
This is a special program, and we're going to celebrate.
And we're going to let this pan heat up. As I said, we're going to use the cream, and we're going to use the Falkstorp. I'm going to spark this one up a little bit. It's going a little bit too slow.
Okay.
And we're going to take these sweet pea tips. As you can see, the little sort of twinkles here, which clearly indicate the top shoots. I've taken the liberty of trimming some of them down a little bit, taking some of the hard stems out. And this should be enough for about a portion.
Wow.
You should not be worried about the little noises it makes. It's quite natural.
No, I love this.
Just toss them very little. What we will do is...
look at the green come up again, when you cook these greens.
I'll put in a little bit of the Falkstorp to really sort of make sure...
Reinforce that flavor?
Exactly. The natural flavor of the sweet pea tips is very sort of sugary by themselves. And then by adding the Falkstorp, you really bring out the nuttiness and the sort of sweetness in this pea tips.
We're very lucky to have this wine too. This is I think a rare bottle that Trudy brought from Gray Monk Winery.
Yeah, she was mentioning to me that it's probably the last bottle she has for this year. But she was saying that they were picking Falkstorp. They were picking the Falkstorp. I think starting tomorrow. So hopefully
we'll have some more.
They'll make some more for us.
The last bottle.
There we go. We put in a little bit of shallots to just cut the grease and the richness of the dish, and we make sure that they get transparent a little bit. And then we put in
more of that last bottle of Falkstorp.
And here goes the cream.
Right now. So we have clarified butter, shallots, Falkstorp, and cream.
And the cooking juices
from the scallops.
From the scallops. I've cooked the scallops very lightly. So as soon as we get the high heat on here and we get it to start reducing, what we'll do is we'll put the scallops back in there. Meanwhile, I'll, just for good measure, pour a little bit of the...
to reinforce flavor.
And get it really permeated into the dish. Meanwhile, what we'll do is, seems to be well cooked. We'll just put a little bit...
Put in there?
A little bit salt.
Oh, salt. Okay, yeah, good.
Pepper from my pepper mill.
Well, you sure you don't want to use this one?
No.
Okay.
And we move.
I love this dish. Again, we've done two dishes today that are simple, yet I think sophisticated, and these are the type of things that we like to do in the show, using regional ingredients.
There we go, and we'll just let the dish finish like this in the cream. So you get that concentration of the butter, the cream flavor,
Yep.
the scallops, the sweetness of the scallops, and especially because these Alaska scallops from Glacier Bay are well known for their sweetness.
Oh.
You don't get them that often. They're normally fished in the good weather season. That means that they don't fish between October to March. They're not always available. I know that sometimes I have seen them in Granville Market.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I'm sure that if you have a good relation with your fish supplier or your fishmonger, then
hey,
you would be able to tell them.
And say you need this. Listen, while we're waiting for this, while you're finishing this up, I want to bring Trudy back up here
Okay.
to have a taste of. I want to taste this wine on its own, not without outside of the dish. So here,
are.
do you want to?
I'll
do
try.
the honors? Yeah.
It's not what I normally do.
Okay.
But,
Here, I'll trade you.
Thank
Here
you.
you go. Let me just. Oh. Look at the color of this wine. This is really, really, really beautiful. You can tell it's late harvest and very, very
It's an
rich.
85.
It's an 85. You can tell
1985.
it has a few years on it
Auslese,
because
yes.
it's so dark.
Yes.
Cheers.
Well, I think the chef's working, but you and I'll enjoy.
Oh, the nose on this.
That's how it is to be a chef. You know, you always get left out.
This is how I like to cook, as I said before. Sipping on wine and having some extraordinary, talented fellow like you come and make dinner for Trudy and I. Hey, that's a good deal.
There we are.
You gotta like
We've got
that.
the scallops, and we'll just give a very quick boil to the sauce, so we get it a little thickened up. We don't want it too thick. I don't like to have my sauces reduced to oblivion, to the fact that they get sort of sticky and gooey. It just tend to cut the finer nuances of the flavor, sort of the tip of the flavor spectrum.
But also
And
using cream and
here we
instead
go.
of flour, I think is great because it really is sweet and
There we are.
luscious. And there we go. Our second dish today. Why don't you say what it is?
Again,
It's
it
a
is
short
the Alaska scallops from Glacier Bay, served with a sauce made from Faessler and cream primarily, and the sweet pea tips picked from the top shoots of the snow pea
From
plant.
your garden.
Not quite from my garden.
It
My
would've sounded good.
mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law's garden. That sounds even better. Listen, we got to go because we've run out of time. So I'd like to thank my guests today, which has been Soren Falkstorp, the executive chef of Seasons Restaurant in Queen Elizabeth Park here in beautiful Vancouver, and my good friend Trudy Heiss of Gray Monk Winery in
Thanks for having us.
Okanagan. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Gary Faessler for Chefs About Town. Till we see you again. Eat well. Enjoy. Goodbye.
Kitchen facilities provided by the De Breuil French Culinary School. Cookware and accessories used on Chefs About Town provided by the Cook Shop at Coquitlam Center. Global stainless steel knives provided by Chuchka's Design Limited. Chefs About Town is made possible by funding provided in part by Domaine de Cheberton. Your winery in Langley, Fraser Valley awaits your visit to sample their quality wines. And the whole kitchen caboodle, from gadgets to gourmet, the whole kitchen caboodle at City Square has what you need. And Souk Harbor House, a restaurant inn by the sea on Vancouver Island, purveyors of regional Canadian cuisine, are proud to be sponsors of British Columbia's Food and Wine Arts program, Chefs About Town.